Hey, it's Soul with another video brought to you by Mark, the maker of the James Bond chair. Keep 'em cool, keep 'em hangin'. Last week I took a glance at the Horde and Alliance scenarios that led us to the Kaldrai tree party that no one wanted to have. Today I'm back, after helping Blizzard stress test these scenarios, and I wanted to point out a few of the changes that have happened since then, as well as walk you through the events of Part 2 of the Horde and Alliance scenarios. And I'll cap it off with some speculation and a few concerns. If you haven't seen the walkthrough where I make a timeline of how the two factions events played out, I'll have a link below where you can see how it looked during that pass. I'll be going a lot faster this time while pointing out the changes, and here we go. Sylvanas is directing the Horde to make a feint and fool Alliance intelligence that they're going to invade Silithus when they're actually invading Ashenvale. Oh no! The Horde champion meets up with a Blood Elf rogue, and together they take over the town, while simultaneous attacks throughout the region overwhelm the Kaldrai. Ashenvale now belongs to the Horde. The Horde champion travels to Zormgard to inform the outpost the Warchief is approaching, and then returns to Astranar, the town that they had attacked. Something odd about this version of events is that now there are no bodies to be found anywhere in the Horde version. Anyway, the Horde champion moves on to meet up with Sylvanas while Saurfang heads to Zormgard with the army. Meanwhile, the Kaldrai and the Alliance champion arrive at Astranar to see it overrun with corpses, which is curious, but at most, it's evidence that there should be bodies in the Horde scenario. You can feel free to wear your tinfoil hat for this one, but I'm going to presume that it's just a bug that will either be fixed or explained away in a tweet somewhere. At any rate, not a huge deal, at least the way I see it. Anyway, the Alliance champion clears the town of threats and then meets up with Malfurion to the north. Once the Death Wall separates the Horde and Alliance forces, the Alliance will clear out the nearby forest of Furbolg and wake up some druids. Check this out though. The Horde that used to be at the Master's Glaive are now gone. In fact, the entire area is phased back to its level 60 original look. This looks to be a fix from the earlier build, reinforcing my theory that while Malfurion blames the Horde for the Furbolg going crazy, I think the Furbolg are just crazy. Oh, and the skybox, for whatever reason, already shows Teldrassil burning, which is most definitely a bug. Meanwhile, the Horde are blowing up the Death Wall enough for Sylvanas to help some of the Horde break through. They fight over at the Master's Glaive and then the nearby forest. The Horde takes down a big burning tree and goes through a cutscene. Then the Horde champion is tasked to go to Blackwood Den. Unlike the earlier build, there's no subduing elders, although you can still fight them. You only end up killing crazy Furbolg and raising flags to take over the area. The Alliance fight a giant shredder, but they no longer get a cutscene. This might be a bug, but there's not much of a reason to have this cutscene in there anyway, really. Anyway, the Alliance champ then goes to Blackwood Den themselves to sabotage the Horde operations there, and to free those Furbolg that the Horde, for whatever reason, did not kill. The rest of Darkshore Part 1 plays out the same as before. There's some fighting for Azeroth, a big rumble with trees versus choppers, and the two factions retreat and regroup. Part 2 seems to take a lot of liberties when it comes to story consistency, and by that I mean it's not very consistent. On the Alliance side, they're alerted that the Horde climbed their way over Fellwood to get to the Kaldrai holdings to the north. On the Horde side, Saurfang screams really loud and Sylvanas listens. So Saurfang just shows up. No gameplay on anyone's part, there's no cutscene, at least not one that we know of yet. He's just in northern Darkshore now, and the Horde are free to invade. The Alliance and its champion arrive in Night Elf Town to help defeat the Horde and save some citizens. Saurfang directs the Horde champion into Night Elf Town to defeat the Alliance and save some citizens. Meanwhile, Malfurion and Sylvanas are nowhere to be found. Eventually, the Horde and Alliance champions do find Malfurion and Sylvanas locked in a staring battle, and Sylvanas is about to blink. Saurfang, I guess I'll say it like this, dishonors himself by doing whatever it takes to save the Warchief of the Horde. To regain his honor and satisfy his bloodlust, he then disobeys his Warchief behind her back and lets Malfurion live, to ruin Sylvanas' plans and guarantee a prolonged and bloody conflict. If you didn't notice, this was said in jest, for fun. But thank you in advance for what I expect to be strongly worded responses. So Malfurion leaves with the help of Tyrande. Sylvanas heads north with Saurfang and the Horde champion close behind. The Alliance champion hops on a hippogriff and makes for Darnassus. Sylvanas gets as far as the beach before seeing Teldrassil burning. Or at least, that's how it looks. Meanwhile, the Alliance champion arrives to help evacuate the people of Darnassus, but it's pretty hopeless. The champion himself succumbs to smoke and is then taken to the Temple of the Moon, where Gen and Mia Greymane are. They're told to escape. Mia Greymane escapes, presumably followed by Greymane and you, the champion. So contrary to some conflicting information from a while back, Mia Greymane does seem to live. And this ends the Darkshore and Teldrassil scenario. So with this now fully testable, there are two major pain points I have about the scenario. One is that I really need to stretch my imagination to align the events of the scenario with the events of the upcoming books that are going to release with the Battle for Azeroth Collector's Edition. In the book preview, which by the way is shown to us in HTML format and not as scanned pages, while in Astronar, Saurfang is ambushed by Malfurion, and somehow Sylvanas comes in to save the day. Cross-referencing this with the playable scenarios, I have a theory as to when this takes place. After the Horde champion bombs the Death Wall and returns to Zormgar, Sylvanas sends Nathanos and Saurfang off to find a way through Felwood and into northern Darkshore. It's probable that during their journey their movements are seen, and the Kaldorei and Astronar leave to prepare an ambush. Saurfang takes a short break in Astronar while the book events take place. A spy is found, Malfurion attacks, and Saurfang is saved. The preview cites that Sylvanas saves Saurfang, but there's a reasonable chance that the wording is meant to temporarily deceive readers and make an example of just how disoriented Saurfang is. Or the person who attacked Malfurion is a Dark Ranger, maybe Nathanos, who for whatever reason is impersonating Sylvanas. The other possibility lies with what I said earlier, that the book preview was provided to us digitally, as in copy-pasted text. The preview was provided to fans in April, giving a small window of time to possibly change the content of the two books before this is printed, boxed, and sent to distribution centers. All that really has to be changed is that it's Nathanos and not Sylvanas who attacked Malfurion. A name, that's the only change. This would be pretty messed up, but I don't think this is impossible either. The second pain point is, in my opinion, most of the second part of the Darkshore scenario. It feels incredibly fast, or rushed in the execution. I mean, suddenly Saurfang shows up and it all hits the fan, okay. Every other line or action that Saurfang takes keeps building himself up as this honorable rebel. He's the kind of person a lot of us want to be in our normal day jobs, like, sure Warchief, I'll do as you ask, but only if it feels right to me. By the end of the Sylvanas and Malfurion confrontation, Teldrassil is already burning. No Horde ships in the vicinity, I mean, there never were, supposedly. A few flying machines, even armed with Azerite cannons, aren't enough to light up an entire zone. I even flew around looking for something suspicious like a blown-out Azerite vault or the theoretical Azerite fruit tree with no success. But hey, at least Mia Greymane lived. So that completes my coverage of the scenarios as they are now. I'll be doing a follow-up from my previous speculation video back in November, where I'll go over how wrong I was about my predictions about who or what burns down Teldrassil. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned, and make sure that you're subscribed so you know when that drops. Please like this video, and if you enjoyed yourself, please support the channel so I can keep giving you more of this and all things Warcraft. I'll see you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.